The message you're about to hear will position you to live life to the fullest with actionable insights and strategies. Now, Abraham Owoseni.
These are two keywords I'm personally interested in, and I'm going to just walk us through with these. I'm going to do that, sharing more of my personal experiences as well, sharing principles I've engaged, and since I also play in the education space, I'm also going to share that practically with us and the principles that have helped me, in achieving the result I've also achieved, right? And so please feel free. This is home, and you will get the best from. I want to just show us. We're going to explore the meaning of goal setting. That's everybody knows that already, but we're going to spend more time on the framework for developing goals that work in all areas of life. Now, note the emphasis. The emphasis is goals that work in all areas of life, not just any kind of goal, right? But the goal that works in all areas of life. Some people set goals in some areas and they are deficient in other areas. So how do you do what I call that holistic, harmonious goal? Next area I'm going to spend more emphasis on is the strategies, and then we wrap this up, with our own Q and A's, and then we're out of this session, right? Now I'm going to just share a bit of my story. I believe everything is in story, so I'm just going to share a bit of my story, especially in the education space. For me, I'm passionate about three major things, right? I'm passionate about young people. My belief is that young people are the most treasured resource in the whole universe, right? And to secure the next generation, we need young people. And so, because of that, I found a gap actually in the development of young people that actually stores that goal being coming to pass, right? Which is the fact that young people are now holistically developed. They are deficient in some areas, and so I'm passionate about life skills, because life skill is that kind of education that helps young people to be developed holistically. UNICEF calls it life skill based education, right? That kind of education is the kind that builds them up not just in their head, but also in their mind and in their spirit. And that's the focus of my own education. So anything that has to do with human development, teaching, training, coaching, mentoring, that's my forte, right? And when I'm on that, my blood is literally flowing very well, right? And so because of this, I function literally so well as an education specialist, a life coach for young adults, right? And also a speaker and a trainer on life skills. Um, for me, this has been my mission. So every time I have an opportunity, either they are young people, either they are young adults, either they are teachers and educators that work with young people, that is my mission. Raising them and molding the minds of those that work with them. That is a major passion for me. And I've done this for over a decade, across the country, right? Uh, now, I don't know if I've been to your school. I know many of us are from various schools, but I've been to a number of schools, especially in Lagos State, in Ogun State, in Abuja, and some sprinkled part of the other part of the country. And this, like I shared, is with the goal of raising young people and molding the minds of people, right? In brief, what I would say about me is that I was conveyed as one of the 1,000 young Nigerians making a difference in 2013. Also, I'm a fellow of Youth Action Net, SIP fellow. I received an award from TESCOM in 2018, Teaching Service Commission of Ogun State. That was called the award was called Outstanding Education Supporting Individual Award. I received some other awards, academic award, in service awards, to validate what I do. I've earned a number of formal competencies, including a doctorate degree, certifications, degrees in architecture, in education, in productivity, name it, right? So, but the goal is that I'm grateful to God that over the years, my educational programs and youth development interventions have improved the development outcome of more than 12,000 young people since 2011. Because of this, I'm frequently invited to facilitate for non-profits, education districts, schools, faith-based institutions, solving some of these problems I have identified. I have some of my publications, scientific articles, training podcasts, coaching sessions. They have helped different people across different continents, especially North America, Asia, Europe, and of course our own Africa. And so by now, one thing you would know about me is that I love teaching. But if I'm not speaking, most times I'm thinking. And like I always say humorously, if I'm also not thinking, then I'm inking. And by that, I mean writing. This was my first book, The Career Leader. It has helped a number of young people navigate that area of life, right? So I'm also not that so serious. So sometimes I'm opportune. This is what I do to recreate, and I'm a street biker, and I do that refreshingly, right? I hope I can meet other street bikers who are on this call, right? Um, so I want us to focus on this. I hope I can be of service to you from this session, right? And what if I show you the blueprint of strategic goal setting? What you have not read in a book, or you have not seen you have not seen in a session, or you have not had? Would you be interested? I want to ask you if you'd be interested. If you want me to go ahead on this, please put in a yes in the chat box. Put in a yes in the chat box. Let me know how many people want this really. Put a yes in the chat box. A yes in the chat box. Let me know how many people want this. Put a yes in the chat box. Let me know. I'm looking at the chat box. I see yes. I'm starting looking. I see yes by Regina. I see yes by Chibuke. Awesome, awesome. So I think everybody wants this. So I'm just going to share this, right? Now, okay, fantastic. Now, this is something you may not expect, but I'm going to bring it on. Can you picture your uh, uh, funeral, right? Can you picture that? How many people have perhaps you've done this exercise before? Can you picture your funeral? Anybody? Think about it. Yeah, it's not is I know some people perhaps may not want to, I don't want to think about this. But can you just picture it? I'm going somewhere. Can you picture this? Can you picture this? Or perhaps let me put it this way. Have you pictured this before? Have you pictured this before? Let me know. Have you pictured this before? Who has? Right? I mean, this is striking. I'm going to share with you why I put this up. Now, the reason is because we are created as time conscious beings. We are created as time conscious being. The meaning is that every now and then we're always thinking about, oh, how do I make things better? Oh, how do I hurry? So the moment you wake up in the morning, you're asking somebody, please, what is it by your time? The reason is that you just want to know whether you woke up by 5 a.m. or whether it was 10 a.m. or whether it was 6 a.m. Because we are time conscious being, right? That's the meaning. We are time conscious being, right? So every point in time, goals are simply meant to meet that creation, that ability God gave to us as man. Goals are meant to help us to achieve that time consciousness that God has put in us, right? So I want to know this without assuming. I know a number of us play across the educational value chain, but I want to know, where do you play in the educational value chain? Is it teaching? Is it administration? Is it assessment? Is it research? Is it policy? Is it supplies, consulting? Please put in the chat box where I know this is an opportunity also for us to network with other people who are here. So, that's one major thing that is also going on in this session, right? I'm just facilitating this, but a whole lot is going on. So put in, let's know where you are. Are you in that part where you are delivering the curriculum? You are in teaching, or are you in the administration? You are in regulation, inspection, or are you in assessment, psychometrics, or are you in research, or policy, curriculum development, or you are in supplies or consulting? Or if there's another one I forgot to mention, where are you in the chat in that? I see teaching and counseling. Thank you for that, Super Sam. Okay, education, teaching and consulting. Any other one? I just want to know if the teaching administration. Fantastic. Awesome. Awesome. Now, so I think I'm speaking to the right set of people then. Awesome. Awesome. Teaching and administration. Fantastic. So I think we're on the right, we're good then, right? Now, so what is a blueprint really? If we are talking about strategic, a blueprint for strategic goal setting, what is a blueprint? A blueprint is simple. A blueprint is just a guide. It's a roadmap, right? And so most times, I put it this way, that most times anything that must be achievable and sustainable must come with a blueprint. And I'm going to show you some examples. So, for example, if you want to teach a particular class, I know a number of us are in that part of that value chain. So you want to teach a class, right? Yes, it's good. You are prepared as a teacher and all of that, but you need to put all of your preparation into a blueprint that we call a lesson plan. Now, so what is that trying to do? That is to say, yes, you know that you know what you want to teach, no doubt about that. But to make it achievable and sustainable, you want to put it in and document it in a blueprint. That's what a blueprint is. another example that comes to mind, for example, is you talk about there's a blueprint for building, right? So you want to build a property, and the first thing they're going to ask you at the development control office, you can't just start building a properties without having a blueprint. They want to know, can we see your blueprint? That's what's going to be approved. Your all of your architectural drawings and engineering drawings will be approved before you begin. That's a blueprint. It's a guide for all of those people who are going to achieve your goal, to help you with even while constructing that edifice. They need the blueprint. And so, when we talk about life, when we talk about goals, for us to really achieve our goals and really achieve them, we need also a blueprint, right? We need a blueprint. Now, so I once did this design some time back, and this is just a residential blueprint, for example. Now, so this blueprint shows every single thing. So when I'm communicating with the client, okay, so what do you how this is how this design looks like. The client has communicated to me, I want a particular kind of edifice, that we have this and that. So I put all of that together, blending on my science and my creative abilities to generate this blueprint, right? Now, so but before I created this blueprint, guess what happened? I was only able to draw out this blueprint because I knew the big picture. Watch that, the big picture. I was able to generate and draw out this blueprint because I knew the blueprint, right? And now, what is the big picture, rather? What is the big picture? Now, so this was the big picture I had in my mind. I just conceived, okay, I want an edifice that will, it's going to look like this based on what, my client had said. And what does that mean? That means I began with the end in mind. When I conceived how it's going to look, then I went back to produce the blueprint and produce all of the other details, all the strategic drawings and documents that is needed to achieve the end I saw before I began. You see it now, right? So that is the context of blueprint. So I can have it in mind. Many people actually have a picture of what they want. A number of persons, and like that statistics Mr. Leke gave, the gap most times is that not many persons have done the blueprint or are willing to do the blueprint that is needed to achieve the end they have in mind. And so I want to ask a question this evening, right? What is the end you have in mind? When you look at a teacher as well, a teacher conceives the learning goal, and then she's able to put up the plan. She's able to put up the blueprint. This is the guide. When we are done with this, I'm going to introduce coming with this way. This is going to be my introduction from this. This is going to be my assessment when I'm done. When I'm done, this is going to. All of that is detailed out. How come we don't do that for our goals as well? So here's the grand question: what is the big picture for you? You don't need to put this in the chat. I just wanted to put it in the notes you have for this session in front of you, or the digital device you're using. What is the big picture for you? What's the big picture in life? What's the big picture for you? Think about it that way. The first goal always, most times, the first goal is to set. The first goal to set is to find your goal in life. So I know there's a buzz about goals. Oh, this is what I want. Good. But the first goal to set is to find your goal in life. That's the first goal to set. Finding your goal in life. Someone puts it this way and said, make a goal of finding your goal in life. Right? All other goals are like sub goals within this grand goal. The grand goal is, what is my goal in life? Yes, I'm playing in the educational space, but what is my goal? Now, so because of this, I put it up and I said, not everyone actually needs gold. That's is a truth, and it could be a frank truth. Not everyone needs goals. Some need clarity the most. That's what they need. So goals may not be for everybody. It's only for those who have found clarity about the most important goal in life, the big picture. The big picture. And so we can only have goals if we have visions. If we have visions. Why are you doing what you're doing? I'm going to ask you some questions right now, and I want you to stay with me. The reason is that goals are meant to fast track our journey. That's what goals are meant to do. They are meant to fast track our journey with focus. But if you are not on a journey headed to a destination, then goals can't do anything. Even if you set the goals will be like what people call a rat race, because the goals have not been set in a way that they can help in getting to a destination. because ideally goals are meant to fast track our journey. But when there is no journey, that when there is no destination, it's just like what they call it's just like going around the same cycle, right? So I want to ask you some questions right now, and I want to just take a note of it. I wanted to ask you this question. I know we're educators, right? But ask yourself this question: am I called to this field? I want to make your notes in your make your response in your note personally right now. That this part of what I'm going to I'm engaging life coaching as we get along in this session. This is one major part that we're able to get the best value from what I'm about to share after now. Why am I called to this field? If you don't have any answer specifically now, just write the question down. You'll be able to ponder on it later. Why am I called to this field? Think about it. Why am I called to this field? Why am I called to this field? Right? Next up, what am I called to do? That's why I needed to share with you so that you could see the background of why I do what I do. Why am I called to this field? Right? Even if perhaps maybe when you started up in this field, in this industry, it was just, maybe because of to meet basic needs. But you have gone past that now. You've been in this field for half a decade, more than a decade. The question right now today is, why are you called? Why are you are you actually called to this field? Next up, what are you called to do? Right? Now, for example, I'm called to raise young people and mold minds. It's specific, right? What are you called to do? Right? So even although you are in the education space, what are you called to do in the education space? Right? It's like an ecosystem. In biology, we talk about the interrelationship of of man with the environment and all of that. So in this space, what is your own part you are playing that will make the ecosystem of education work? What are you called to do? Next up is, how am I to do it? How am I to do it? That was why I asked earlier on, where are you in that value chain? There are various areas you can do it, but how am I to do it? Some people are doing it by delivering the curriculum as teachers, either as classroom teachers or teachers in higher education or teachers in early years, right? Or some are in supplies. For example, someone who actually makes a textbook could even be more influential and fulfilling vision than even someone who is teaching in the classroom. Perhaps, right? I just thought about that, and the reason could be that that's the best way for the person to do it, because the best value will come in that way, right? How am I to do it? For some, perhaps you're actually meant to be in policy, and maybe not even delivering the curriculum. It's just about finding your own blueprint. How am I to do it? What is the template? Right? And like I shared, which part of the value chain can I do it best? It's not just about doing it, it's about doing it best within the currency of time, right? Within the currency of time, because you will not always have all the time to do it, right? If you have thought about those questions, the reason I ask those questions is because goals are simply milestones. I was telling some people earlier this year that a year does not give a vision. A year does not set goals for us. What a year does is that a year is simply a rollover of another time and opportunity. So, for example, when you look at yourself in the mirror, when you look at yourself December 31st and January 1st, nothing changed, right? And even till now, nothing has changed, and nothing will change facially, nothing will change, nothing strikingly will change. All that changed is that God just gave us another opportunity. He rolled over another 365 days and He said, I'm giving this to you, right? But if He's giving it to you is a privilege, because not everybody has it. If He gave it to you, the question is, what are you doing with it? Right? What are you doing with it? And that is the context of goals. So we set goals so that we can gain focus, so that we can make the best use of that God has given to us. That's the whole purpose of it. Now, so this is the framework I want to share. Two things more I'm sharing: framework and strategies. This is the framework for developing your goals. Now, you need to find your own part in this framework, because you can actually copy another person's goal. Like I said earlier, goals are unique to destinations, right? And so if I'm going to maybe, let's say I'm going somewhere in Lagos, let's say I'm going to Victoria Island, right? The path I would take will be different from someone else that is going to maybe Ikeja, right? Because the destination is different, so the goals will be different, right? So the milestone along that way will be different. And so, but most times, today you see, because of, especially with the advent of social media, right? I know someone posts a picture and say, "Oh, I just did this," and you just scrolling through and you just like the picture and then say, "Wow, I think I need to get this myself." Sometimes you don't even say it, but subconsciously the thought just comes to your mind, and most times there is this comparison with what we see out there, and most times we forget even why we're doing what we're doing. And so we need to come to this point whereby we find our own unique framework of the goals that are unique to the destination we are going to, right? And so I'm going to share this framework because vision alone is not enough. Even when you know where you're going to, even when you know the destination, it's not enough. There's something more to it that is missing in that equation. Just like someone that is making a dish, or maybe cooking, maybe jollof rice, Nigerian jollof rice, not Ghana, right? And he's bought the rice, but he doesn't know that there's other things you need to put to achieve jollof rice, else it will remain white rice. So vision alone is not enough. There are some other things that is missing in the equation for that why many people don't achieve their goals. This is the framework. I call it harmonious goals, right? And I'm going to break it down practically. Stay with me. Harmonious goal. Now, the reason is because we as educators, we are more in the limelight to have what I call harmonious goal. And the reason is this: learners and students come in front of us, meet us every single day, and they expect so much from us. They're not just learning from the things we say, they are learning from how we live, they are learning from how we walk, they are learning from how we behave. You can imagine how many things a student, a learner learns from a teacher, not beyond just even what is taught. Now, I remember some years ago, and I was done with a class, teaching some students in higher education. And a young guy came to me boldly, and he said, "Well," I said, while I shared something during that session, and he said to me that I shared something about what George Eliot said. It's never too late to be woman you might have been, right? And he came to me saying that really struck him, amongst every other thing I said. And we started the conversation beyond, okay, what was the concern? This guy was actually troubled, and all he needed was someone to be able to help him out, in his trouble. And I'm grateful that I was able to help him out that way. So, as educators, there are different aspects of our lives, from career to family to social to spiritual to academics. There's several areas of our lives. What we need to build a framework of our goal is to build our goals around these areas of life. Let me say that again. So there are several areas of our lives. What I call harmonious goal is the kind of goals that touches all areas of life. That is what we call harmony. I remember some 2 years ago, we had this consulting session with a school in Ogun State, Mr. Leke and some other consultants of TREGS. And it was an amazing session because we walked them through harmonious goal, even for the educators. So it was not just about being good in school. We had, we had sessions around life work balance, several other areas, right? And the goal was to make them 360-degree educators. Not just so now, what's the point if you have health, for example, but you don't have a career goal? Or what's the point of having a career goal and your family is not settled? Or what's the point where your family is settled, you have career goals, but you are not building yourself? There's going to be a gap in it. And so the framework of goals I recommend is the kind where all areas of life are touched. And how do you do it? Let's pick career, for example. And so the question you're asking yourself is, how can I set goals that will help me to be better in my career? You know, most times when I receive feedback from my students, I'm always humbled, right? So look at this. One of my students said this, and I want us to watch something. He said every conversation made an impact, right? And I could apply the lessons shared. Right now, your passion for what you do is an inspiration to me. Now, look at it. Now, these people sent their feedback separately. I want to see a connection with what the second person said. This second person said, "You are passionate about what you do, which is key in any area of pursuit." I mean, what even? I didn't ask him about this. So you see, these two people mention one key thing, passion, right? But that's even a discussion for another day. Now, he said, "I enjoyed every single class and even learned more." Now, so the point I'm bringing is, can you set a career goal, right, that will improve you in what you do? That's the first area of harmonious goal. right? You know, and the beauty is that your students, your learners, they know if you have actually set a goal in this area or not. They know that they know the teachers who are actually who are very passionate and focused on what they are doing. You know, even as a student in high school, I can still recall today we had different kinds of teachers in school. I remember we had one teacher that, I mean, I felt it was very disrespectful to us as students those days. When a call comes in, she would not even take excuse from the class. She would just pick the call, and she will be on the call for minutes. By the time she comes back to the class, she has forgotten what she was telling us about. And you know, one other one will, you know, comes to, you know, does merchandise in school while teaching. That's the challenge. So a teacher comes in while she's teaching, and then she's selling. I mean, I was so furious. But then I saw some other teachers. I still remember one that taught me, you know, what we call introtech those days. She was very passionate, came in early, prompt. She's always in class. And she knew what she was talking about. Very good at it. Now, so if you ask me if I'm the learner, right? Whether it's a decade or 20 decades ahead, guess what? Your learners will remember. They will know who are actually the real educators or no, or not. So wherever you are in the value chain, whether it's a midterm career goal for you, or it's something you are doing for a long period of time, the point is, can you give this the best shot you can now? By setting a career goal that impacts the people you have under your care. It's just a privileged opportunity, right? And you know, when people write CVs, they put, "Oh, this is my career goal, this, that," you know, and they put all of those fine stuff. But actually, when they get engaged, you find out that that was actually not their goal. It was just something fancy to appease the recruiters. So, can you define a career goal? Perhaps if it's going to be a 12-month goal, or you want to make it part term, right? Maybe 3 months, or you want to make it for a session, or it depends on you, right? Goals are not necessarily about a year. A year is just an opportunity to fulfill a goal. You could set a goal. You could set, now, like I shared, your life vision is like a long-term goal, but you can set medium-term goals and short-term goals from that. Even you can also set even monthly goals. You can set weekly goals. You can set daily goals. That's what people call to-do list. This is what I want to do today. That's a daily goal. This is what I want to do weekly. I mean, so you can set this up. But people, the point I'm bringing here is define a goal in this area. Define a goal in this area. And how can you do it? Let me show you. Ask yourself, how have I been doing it? Right? So a number of us say we're in teaching, some said administration. The question is how to know the goal to set in this area is asking yourself this simple question. What can I change or improve on? That's the goal you need to set in doing that. What can I change or improve on? Remember, your learners are watching, your students are watching. What can I do to improve? Right? What can I do to improve? So, if a new time has, has begun, what can I do to improve? Set a goal in this area, right? I was shocked when some of my students said this. One said, it takes his time to teach. That's surprising. You know, you wonder that what's the student business with that, but they are watching. Another person said he's dedicated to the learning process. These are some surprising words they are using. How does a student know there's something called the learning process? But they even know that even without going to without going for a bachelor in education, right? One said, I love the way he speaks and teaches. The point is, all of this could not have happened if I had not set a career goal. I had a career goal. You know, if you go to my website or my profile, you see my career goal. I wrote it there. You know, mainstreaming youth development for schooling experience, and doing that through research, grassroots research, policy, and all of that. What is your career goal? Define this goal. That's one step to harmonious goal. Now, the second step I want to show us in doing in achieving harmonious goal, I'm going to come back to what I call school of thought shortly, but I need to move right now. Now, academics. This is one area of life. We think only our students need academics, but we also, as educators, we need academics. What do I mean by this? What do I mean by this? Academics in this context is not just about formal schooling, it's about personal development. It's about personal development, right? So, someone was sharing earlier on before we began during the expectations that during the lockdown learned a whole lot from the interventions TREGS brought in, and all. Guess what? That was your academics. You were improving yourself, and you were committed to a lifelong learning. So you find that amongst all of the educators that perhaps got this call or this invite, the few people who took up this interest are people who actually have a, an academic goal to improve themselves, right? So Some of the things I shared with you that my students shared. My only that the only gap is that my student never knew that I improved in live streaming. I learned how to live stream. My student never knew that I improved myself in having a digital knowledge certification. My student never knew that I took certification in innovation. My students never knew all of this. All they knew was that look at all what they said. All what they said was that every conversation made an impact. All what they said was that it's dedicated to the teaching process. They never knew that I had an academic goal that was helping me to achieve that. That is the second leg in harmonious goal. What goal can make you better? So this year, what you as an educator personally yourself, you're not waiting necessarily for the school. How can you be better? Now, you even look beyond even what you're doing right now. Let's assume you are playing in the teaching, delivering the curriculum at the moment, and you're saying, oh, well, in next 1 year or 2 years, I want to get into another part in the value chain. Maybe I want to go into supplies or let's say policy. The question is, what skills do you need to do that? That should be a goal for this year or for this time you are setting it. Ask yourself, write down those skills. That's the next thing. The skills you need to develop yourself in, both both technical skills and both life skills. Both life skills. I'm actually a very top fan of life skills. I'm going to share with you when I get to social. Right now, let's go to emotional. Right, I don't even need to get to social before I explain this because there was something I experienced some days back, and I'm going to share that with you. This is the third level. Let me know if you're finding this valuable. If you want me to continue, let me know. Continue, put in the chat box. Continue. This is value. Let me know if you're finding this valuable. Right? Please let me know. Let me know, or should I just pack my load and be going? Let me know if you're finding this valuable. Somebody, let me know. Give me a feedback in the chat box. Right? Give me a feedback in the chat box. Give me feedback. Right? Thank you. Last comment said great value. Thank you. Continue. Okay, great. So I think I have more than one continue, so I can go on. Now, this is the third leg of the first one we said was career goals. The second one is academic goal. So now you have said you have set your career goals. Secondly, you have said the skills you want to improve in. Third is emotional. So when learners see a teacher or an educator standing in front of them, they're not just seeing one person. They're not just seeing a teacher who takes that as a career alone. They are seeing 5 or 6 areas of life in one. This one is one major one you need to pay attention to this year. Emotional, 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 right? And this really becomes a food for thought for us. Now, look at this. One of my students sent this sometimes back last year. He said he gives very helpful tutorials. Now, the part I want to focus is this. He said he responds to his emails when you need clarity. Now, guess what? These students, put this word respond in uppercase by himself or herself. I don't know the person. I was not the one that put it in uppercase. What is the emphasis that the student is telling you here? The student is telling you response is what I'm referring to. So what even made what my focus is not even about maybe even what you are apart from yes to give helpful, you help them in the main academic area. He said he responds to his mail when you need clarity. Now, what does that mean? He went on to say very empathetic. Now, these are words that talk about this area of life, emotional. Can you set goals to improve on this area of life? Some days back, and that was last month, I was just about pulling out from, the car park. We had this large gathering somewhere, and, everybody had parked almost close to, bumper to bumper and all of that stuff. So I was trying to pull up so I got my vehicle. I wanted to pull out and get off, but, I was waiting for someone before I pulled over. So I never knew someone was watching me, just some meters back. So my vehicle was obstructing the other person's car, but I never knew. And so, but suddenly I just my eyesight just went to that direction, and I saw someone just using a hand and with a very free face. I could see the person saying, "Get out of there!" I could literally see the person saying that. So I quickly knew that my vehicle was obstructing somebody. So I pulled I quickly pull out my vehicle so that and then she came closer so that she could pull out her vehicle, and I saw fury filled up in this person's face. So to really to correct that, because of course I knew that this person was hot, that I've delayed maybe for 5 minutes. So I moved closer to just apologize, say I was sorry. To my shock, when I tried to apologize, this person said, this person just literally used his hand and said, "Get out, be going, Joe." And this is me apologizing. Now, what that taught me was that many people are carrying various emotional baggages, and literally they are looking for where to dump that into. Now, when you appear before your students, are you going to dump some baggages on them, or you are going to be emotionally smart? TREGS has a lot of training modules on this, so I won't beat this too much. Emotionally smart is about being emotionally intelligent, understanding your own emotions first. What makes you angry, for example? If I know what makes me angry, I can control that emotion. But the issue is that most people don't even know what brings them upset, or understanding their emotion generally. This is one major skill that sets you apart. So you begin to see what's like empathy. What does empathy mean? That's emotional intelligence, right? Response. What does that mean? I've always had this, and every time I'm relating with my students, I relate to them with respect. Whether he's younger than me, whether he's older than me, I don't just say, I don't use flames, I don't use abusive words on them, because I understand that I'm not just speaking to their minds. Anything I say that is hurtful goes to their emotions, and it affects them for the rest of the day. One day in high school, I still remember this, and the issue about emotional, when a person dumps something on you, the issue is that the person may tell you sorry later, but it's always difficult to erase it, although the person has moved on. So I still remember this one I experienced in high school. I actually did something stupid, and the teacher was what it was actually the teacher was qualified to punish me. But guess what? If you set a goal in this area of life this year, your students will find another educator in you, because they will say, they will actually tell their mates that this man has changed, this woman has changed. You may not know, they will tell their colleagues, and eventually they may tell you as well. So I know our teacher came to class that day. She was teaching on counseling, and she said, today we're going to talk about relationship. And then I burst into laughter. I mean that was just my naive me, right, as a teenager. And I think this teacher perhaps has not understood and mastered her emotion. And so because a student make jest in class, she simply said, hey, you, get out of class. And before she even said get out of the class, if she said get out of the class, it would have been good. I mean, I'll just walk away. But she said, you fool, get out of the class. And so for the rest of the day, I began to wonder, am I a fool? What makes a person a fool? That I laughed in class, that was foolishness. Are you seeing that now? Now, the point is this: master this area of life. This is going to help you, not just even in your space as an educator. It's going to help you even in other areas of life. Being emotionally intelligent. Get more help if you need help in this area of life. You don't need to wait till when it's beyond damage control, right? And so, social life. I'm moving to this. This is number one now. Someone, if you're following us, this is number one in building harmonious goal. Let us know, what number is this? What number is this? What number it is? This, what you need to do in this area is simple. Number four, thank you for that. In this area, you are simply asking and help, trying to see how can I relate well with other people. So now you're emotionally smart. Now that you have built emotional goals. Now you're trying to see, how can I build my capital? We call it relationship capital, right? So beyond just your department, you are in arts, you are in sciences, right? You are in humanities. Can you build your relationship with other people, right? Either within your school, with other schools. Get to a point whereby you can actually collaborate with another educator, perhaps in other states in the first world. Do some things that make you collaborate with other people, and you need to begin to build that up by investing also in others. So set a social goal to increase your capital, to increase your network as part of your goals, right? This will improve your exposure. It will improve your mileage. Name it. Set a goal in this area. How many person I want to people say, when you want to get something done, how many people are you a phone call away to? That shows how vast your network is, right? Is it one call away, two calls away, five calls away, right? And it's not even about when you need something. It's just about finding a way to be help somebody, being of help to somebody, right? Being of help to another person. That's all it's about. It's not just about what you want to get. That would be more of parasitic. It's about, how can I be of help to somebody without even thinking of it. One day, perhaps you now need an help. It's easy to draw out from that pool of deposits, right? So build a goal in this area. I won't build much on that. Financial. I mean, this one I know is one area that we did some work on this during the lockdown and all, but the direct goal of your financial goal comes from two major streams: your active and your passive. Your active comes from the direct work you do, right? And so, if you want to improve on the, they say if you want to improve what you earn, improve your learning, learning and earning, right? No doubt. There's also the passive way, your investment portfolio. How can you improve on these two areas this year? Set goals in this area, right? This will not just help you to be passionate. Yes, passion has a great part in the equation, but it must be commensurate with the rewards you get, right? So that you can actually do more, right? I'm also going to go to the last one, spiritual. Now, this one is not about religion. It's about how you can ensure that you remain in tune with your creator, right? The reason is because your creator made you as a spirit, right? So if your creator wants to communicate with you, your creator is not communicating with your mind or your emotion. It's not about your feeling. It's not about your body, whether you're tired or you are awake. Your creator will communicate to your spirit. And so what you need to do is what goals can I set to increase my communication with my creator this year, if that's the span of the goal you are setting? What can I do? What goals can I set to increase my communication? Could it be perhaps in studying His Word? Could it be perhaps in spending more time in intimacy and praying? What goals? You define it. Define how you want it to be. Right? The reason is that when you appear before your students, they are not just seeing a Mr. This or a Miss This. They are seeing a person who also has a spirit. And indirectly, you are also teaching them because they also have spirit. So what you teach them does not just affect their mind alone and their brain, it also goes into their spirit. And this part of scripture is one that helps. You say there's a spirit within people. And so when you are teaching, you are not just teaching to their minds or to their brains, you also teach to their spirit, right? This is very apt. And even how do you get inspiration and ideas as you get along, even as a teacher? As an educator, and wherever you play in the value chain, the inspiration will come to your spirit. So you need to do it such a way that you set a goal that makes you to continually get inspiration. You may be having your bath and inspiration drops in your spirit, or you may whatever you are doing, you may even be in a toilet and inspiration drops in your spirit. But that can only happen when you have a direct connection that you constantly treasure and you invest in. It's just like communicating. If you refuse to communicate to a person for a year, now imagine the people who have not talked to you all through this lockdown, and suddenly they come and say Happy New Year. And I mean, you just wonder, I mean, are you sure this Happy New Year or is this just a broadcast? You know what I'm saying? Communication is the life wire of this area I'm talking about, right? Now, this I want to share this feedback. It's a long one, but I'm just going to read it so you follow through. The reason is that your interventions, whether you are an administrator, you are in the teaching front or wherever, your interventions is not just helping students get good grades and pass in school. There is more to it. So a student sent me this after a session I had. He said, I woke up this morning and the first question that popped up in my mind was why I was becoming lazy and so unmotivated. Now, this is a student going through a whole lot of problem. And this problem, maybe his parents don't even know. And the only person he's looking up to is the teacher he sees every day he goes to school. He said, and this guy was not even doing badly in his schoolwork. He said, I'm a first class student. And frankly, I'm intelligent. But guess what he said? He said, but that is no longer enough for me. He wanted more. Guess what that more is? Is his spirit. He said, I'm constantly searching for something, trying to be better. He said, I know God's purpose for my life is far more than my grades in school. And then he said, attending your class this morning and hearing your session, especially in the asking yourself why, has sparked something in me. He didn't know, but what he said indirectly, I understood it. Something sparked off in his spirit. It was not just his head alone. His head, the guy was good. He was a first class student already, but something was sparked in his spirit. And he said, "Oh, I'm more than grateful. I immediately missed this class, and he put all of that and on." That's what happens when you have set a goal in this area that you are even in touch as an educator. You come into a class and someone that is going through a concern that even the parents don't know. I was in a school one time and someone came to me and said, that she's currently going through abuse. Even the father does not come, does not around. The father beats her, goes, no time. The mother is abroad. And this is a student in a class. If you don't know, no matter how good you are as an educator, all you are doing will not enter the student because there's more bigger problem than even that. You can set a goal whereby you are able to give holistic help even to the student, even beyond the 4 wall, right? So I'm going to end with this, which is the strategies for goal actualization. The strategies. If you have done this framework where you have set all of these goals in this area, from career to academics to marital. I forgot mentioning marital actually. Marital is one major area in it, right? Whether you are unmarried or you are married, settling that part of that equation helps you to have a balance even in that area. Now, what are the strategies? Strategy is simply the how to, right? So, for example, you can know the what. So, for example, I'm teaching goal setting right now. That's what to teach. But it is actually the how to that is a strategy. That's what strategy means. How? How? You can know what to teach, but how do you teach it? So, most times I used to say this: it's good to be diligent, but it's good to be diligent with strategy. I'm going to say it again. It's good to be diligent, but it's actually better to be diligent with strategy. The former is just working, workaholic. I mean, he sweats everywhere. The latter person is diligent, but he's doing it with strategy. It's just like when you are using maybe a blender to blend something. It just does it with ease. Than when you are grinding, you are sweating. That is strategy. That is what strategy, right? Now, so this this strategy format I want to share with us is something. Maybe I'll share with us this template later on. I'll share with maybe through Mr. Leke, but I'm just going to walk us through on how we can use this framework. This is a framework I developed for, I call it the goal planning simulator. Now, so in actually achieving in the strategy for your goal is the strategy for your goal, like I shared earlier on, cuts across your tripartite nature as a man or as a person, right? So you first is knowing the goal you want to set. Next thing is what I actually call it the 3M matrix. The first is what I call mapping. The second is what I call molding, and the last part is what I call moving. So as a person, you need to first map your goals, like with that, which is what we had done earlier on in those areas of life, career. What is the goal? Map it. Academics, which skills do you want to improve on this year? Map it. Family, how do you want to be a better husband, a better wife? Map it. We talked about which other area? Social, what networks do you want to be this year? Map it, right? Which other area did we talk about, right? Emotional, how can you manage your emotions better and be emotionally smart? Map it. When you map all of your goals, the next part I'm going to jump into now, this last two part in this framework, is the real strategy that most people don't do. The real strategy. So anybody can write any goal. There's no big deal in that. I can say this is what I want this year. Everybody have actually more than 7 billion people perhaps have done that already this year. So why is that everybody doesn't achieve their goal? It's because the strategy was missing out. Everybody know what goal to set, but not everybody knows how to achieve them. So I'm just going to move in straight to molding. Now, I just want to say something in this, right? I'm just going to move in straight to molding. Now, before then, look at this. The goal you set should have the right motive, right? Why do you want to achieve this goal? Is it because of somebody? Is it because of why? The next thing is this congruent to where you are going to? That's your vision, where you are going to, where we started from. You said a journey, your destination, and then have you mapped it and drawn it from your spirit? Now, if you have done that, this is the part I want to focus on. This is the strategy. This strategy takes place in your soul, right? Now, so let me give an example. I have a background in architecture. So when we are done with a design, this is what we do actually. Sometimes you even go to the extent of creating a visual for your client. You create three-dimensional visuals. You can even go further by creating animations, pictures, videos they can see. This is how this stuff is going to look when it's built. And when you present it to clients, your clients, they are always so, they are so intrigued seeing it. They literally can touch it and feel it, although the property, the edifice is not built. What actually transpired is that particular goal, the client said, maybe the client said, I want to build, or I want us to build a sport complex, or for our students during the house parties and this and that. And the architect brought it to him and said, this is how the sport complex is going to look like. Now, what the architect has done is that although the sport complex, the goal has not been achieved physically, they've achieved the goal somewhere else that makes it so real to achieve it physically. So what happened is that they achieved the goal in the mind. And so when the architect gives the client that picture, is conveying what they have achieved already, because the architect had already done the mapping in his mind. He has presented it in drawings, and he's giving the client, so that the client will also see this is what we are seeing, although they have not built it. And so when you are passing beside, construction sites, you see the billboard there. They'll put it there, the construction, the project board. You see the big building they are building. They'll put the picture there. They have not finished. They are still perhaps even in the first floor, but they're already showing this is how it will look. What did they do? They spent time in molding, right? They spend time in molding. How do you mold your goals? Number one, there's a way to write your goals that makes them a reality. We call it language. Language is everything. If I write some things in maybe in a language you don't know, you'll be seeing it, but it doesn't make any impression to you because you don't understand the language. Language backs reality. So there's a way you write your goal. You don't write your goal by making it more of like a burden. Some people write goals and say this year I want to. I want to is like it's sounding like a burden. Your mind tries to run away from obstacle, things like that. There's a way to writing a goal, and I'm just going to give an example. This is a formula I share most times. You can write a goal by writing it perhaps in a past tense. The meaning is that you are writing the goal in an already established state, right? That's the meaning. You're writing the goal in an already established state. So you can write things like, it is now. You can even put it there. It is now, the 8th of April 2021. At the graduation ceremony of our year 3 students, and all of them, all of the graduating students had so and so results. And I mean, just describe it in a way that shows that you have achieved it already. That's that's a perspective to writing your goals. Write it as if it is already achieved. That's writing, right? And the next step to molding your goal is what I call believe it and think about it. Believe it and think about it. Now, many people also miss out this part. Sometimes you may just need to, all you just need perhaps is just to shut the lights in your room, right, at night, and just spend time, shut your eyes, and just believe your goal. Put the picture of your goal in your inner eyes, and just think about it. Think about it as if it has already been achieved. Spend time to do it. The reason is this: your mind does not know what is real or is not real. Your mind, whatever you spend so much time thinking about, soon enters the subconscious. Some people call some things deja vu, and they say, well, the reason is that it has already happened in their mind. So when it happened again, they were wondering, sometimes I go to a place, I'm teaching somewhere, and I just felt I've thought about this thing before. And I knew that, it happened in my mind, right? It happened in my mind. So believe it. Believe it. Performance begins when you believe. Believe it. No matter how great a goal is, if you don't believe it, it's going nowhere. Do you believe it? Well, I hope that, if this year is not like last year, if there's no lockdown, no, you don't believe it enough. If you believe it, it will show in how you speak about it. Believe it. And I paraphrase this, and I want you to just read it with me where you are. Read it where you are. 1, 2, go. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. As he continues to think about his goal, so will it be achieved. This is a rule of thumb. Thinking about your goal, right? And you continue to think about it. It's not a one-time effort. You are thinking about it. When you are evaluating your goal, you are doing a review, either of in a new week, you are doing a review with your staff members, or you're doing a review personally of a new month, of a new week. Think about the goals again. Look at them again. That's why you need to write them down. Look at them again and think about them. Think about them, right? The third part to molding your goal is related to the second one I shared. It's about imagining them. How do you imagine them? You imagine them in pictures. This was what I shared earlier on. When we show the clients the picture, they begin to imagine it as if it was already existing, right? They begin to imagine it. It's just like when you're doing a document, you're typing a document on the system, maybe on Microsoft Word, and you just know that when I print this document, it will become a hard copy. How did you know? The soft copy, now our mind is like that soft copy. Your mind is like that soft copy. Everything that will come out as hard copy must go through the soft copy first in your mind. And you spend time to visualize it. So most times when people talk about vision board, all they are trying to say is how can you boost your visualization? Right? So maybe you need to put at your desk, maybe close to where you are in your workplace, put pictures that reminds you of your goal, right? Whatever places you have a touch with every single day, in your room, on your wardrobe, whatever it is, on your phone, your wallpaper, change it to the goals that you are working in at that time, right? It could be mobiles hanging from the ceiling, whatever reminds you of your goal visually. Spend time on that, right? That's the whole concept of visualization. Soon it will enter your subconscious, and that is what you're trying to achieve. But that will take time. You must keep seeing it. You must keep seeing it. You must keep seeing it, and it enters your subconscious, right? I'm wrapping up this now. This is the last one. This is strategy. This one is the apex of all of the uh of all of the strategy. This is the apex of all of the strategy. This is the apex of the strategy. All of the other ones we've shared are part of the main strategy, but this is the apex of it, planning it. Now, in this context, so let me take you back to the illustration I shared. So when the client sees the 3D, sees the animation, is so excited, and even commissions the client, go to the next stage, right? I mean, commissions the architect. Okay, so they begin to, the commission, they get on to, bidding, getting contractors to bid for the job. They get a contractor bid for the job, and the first thing the contractor does is not even to just to start running. Many people just started, they just hit the road running. I must achieve my goal. Hustling. They call it hustling. That doesn't work here. It's strategy. Hustling is like working without strategy. And guess what the contractor does? The contractor sits down first and looks at his job and comes out with a work schedule and say, this is our work program. In week 1, we're going to do this. By week 2, we're doing this. By week 3, we should be doing this. If there's no force majeure, there's no this is what we're going to do. I mean, everything is mapped before they even started. So by the time he's eating the sites, clearing the site and all of that, he already had a plan he's working with. Maximum, maybe plus or minus, depending on whatever the constraint is. You just have plus some few weeks to it, and whatever contingency it is. But they already had a plan they were working with. We're not saying the plan will be rigid. We're saying the plan is a guide, is your blueprint to achieving your goal, right? And that's the concept where this is what I'm going to show you. This is a planning strategy I want to share with you right now. A planning strategy. Now, the first thing in this planning strategy is I call it education. So someone says, I'm going to give an example now. Someone says, well, okay, let me do it this way. Someone put in the chat one of the goals like you want to achieve. Put in the chat one of the goals you want to achieve from what I shared earlier on. Maybe in your career, it could be in any one of these life areas. Put it in the chat box. Let me see if I could use that as an example, right? I'll just see if I can use that as an example on this planning strategy I'm sharing. Anybody? I'm wrapping up now. I think we're opening the floor line for Q&A. But I just want to wrap this up. Yeah. Let me just see if I could use a case study. Anybody? Someone said academic. Can you specify what you mean? What is the academic goal itself? Is it that you want to get a master's degree, or you want to I mean, just break it down. Let me know the exact goal so I could know what that is. Any other example? Please feel free. I'll be glad to use your goal. Personal development in what? Thank you so much for that. Adinedo. Personal development in what? Can you give us an example, specific example? Or should I let me see if I can tweak what you just shared right now. So you talked about academic personal development. So let's assume the goal is so let me just put in the context of the strategy I shared. So let's assume you put it up this way. What field are you in the value chain? What do you teach? Or I'm just trying to see how I can make it practical to that particular goal, but I just have to. Okay, teaching. So let's assume you say let's assume you are setting a goal that so let's say by July, when the session is closing, you have set this fantastic goal, raising grade. Thank you for okay. Someone said raising grade and independent leaders of tomorrow. Fantastic. So so let's say you have set this goal by the end of this session, July at its ending, right? You get an award by your school, and this award is, and so you have set this goal by saying, let's assume let me just give a typical scenario. It is now the 25th of July 2021. At the end of the session, award and prize giving ceremony of so and so and so XYZ school. I'm so excited. I can see many faces, all of my co-teachers, and even all of our students, the parents, everyone is glad that this term and this session has come to an end. And I'm currently holding a plaque that I've been given, right? With the plaque also came with a commendation letter and an offer to and a promotion letter for so and so and so, right? And that is your goal, for example. And they gave you that plaque because of the quality of investment that you put into your work in that session that the student could attest to, after they evaluated the assessment that semester, I mean that term, and the students adjudge you to be the best teacher. You are so grateful to God. And so let's say that's the goal. So let's use this planning strategy right now. Now, to achieve that goal where you are judged the best teacher, based on all of your personal development effort, the first thing you want to ask yourself is education. What is the education you need to achieve that goal? What is the education you need to achieve that goal? So, for example, this goes across both, like I shared earlier on, the technical skills you need, the life skills you need, right? So, what life skills do you currently need now that you don't have? I have mentioned so many examples in the course of this session. Maybe yours is emotional intelligence. You want to grow in that area very well. You feel you shout so much at your student and you just don't find it seamless with them. They can't even come to you. They always run from you. That's a skill you need to improve on, and that's the education you need. Or you could be, oh, you want to improve in this technical area by getting some certification programs, on becoming a 21st century teacher. Because if you want to be a best teacher, then you must actually be a 21st century teacher. Or you want to improve your digital skills, that's the education. Write down all the skills you need currently urgently. That's the planning strategy. Now, let's move on to environment. Environment begins to you begin to ask yourself, right? I hope we're taking down this framework. Apply this to all of the goals you have, right? And this is the part many people run from because it takes work. I remember when I was doing this for some of the goals I had set, it took about some days. It's not just something you do, eat and run. It takes time, right? Environment. Do you need to be in a particular location to achieve this goal you have talked about? Do you need to join an association? Do you need to be part of an affiliation? Oh, so I learned that there's a group of educators called this and this. Oh, I need to join them. Oh, I learned that there's Microsoft Innovators Educator or MIE. Oh, I need to be part of them. Oh, I learned that that's an association you need to join because it's going to rub off on you and even on the goal you want to achieve. That's an example of environment. You go to the next one, exposure. Exposure. Are there people I can learn this thing from faster? Mentors and coaches, people who are educators themselves and they have done this over and again. I see it in the result they get. They've shared it. I've read about it. Can I reach out to them? Who are they? This is number one person I want to reach out to. This is number two person I want to reach out to. Write the names of the persons down. And then the second part of exposure is accountability partners. I told one of my mentors that this is my goal in this area. Can you be my accountability? So it's on my watch now, guiding me on that goal, right? It doesn't mean it's going to do the work for me, but it's just keeping me in check. So get accountability partners. It could be your partners. If you're married, it could be someone you're close to. Just get someone that puts you in check. Not that you're just, here's my goal, I will achieve it. Nobody's putting your check. I mean, you may not be that easy. The second to the last part is resources. Resources. What resources do you need to achieve this goal? And most times it's not necessarily financial, but that's a big part of it. It could be material resource, it could be financial resource. So you want to be the best, adjudge the best educator. What resources? So if you want to sign up for all of this education I need, they may need money. You may need to pay for a program. Although, for example, you are getting this webinar free, you may need to pay for some other ones, right? You may need to sign up for some courses that will actually make you that will give you the edge that other people don't have. I remember many years back when I was in junior school, we are done with when I think we're in junior JS3 then. We were done with our exams, and so this pocket of weeks we have before the school finally closes us. And so I went to school that day. I was just reading a book. I can't even remember the full title, but it was a book around, I think, excellence. But that was not even the story. The story is this: one of my classmates approached me and said, um, he said something that I've never forgotten since then. He said, "Abraham, is this the secret?" Did you hear what he said? Is this the secret? I mean, what was he saying? Because the time before that, The first time before that second time I was first in class. The second time I was first in class. And so we're on this break, and this guy was wondering, okay, why has this guy been the first and second time? So he asked me straight and to the point, is this a secret? So from that day, it dawned on me that people actually know their secrets to anything they want to achieve. If you want to achieve this goal, there's a secret to it. You need to. There are things you invest in that other people are not willing to invest in. There are times you will sacrifice your evenings, or you sacrifice your breakfast that other people are not willing to invest in. There's a secret to it, and so it could come financially, it could come in form of material. But what do I need to invest in? Just like a pregnant woman is expecting a baby, she begins to invest in resources, getting the crib ready, getting some clothes ready, getting this ready. That she's investing in that goal. She knew that, oh, we are preparing together with my partner. We're preparing for the arrival of this seed. So they are preparing. They are getting the resources they need. Right. The last part to this planning strategy I'm sharing is routine, and this part is the most important part, really, because that is in the day-to-day activity. Because the secret is in the routine. So every time you're trying to set your monthly goal, go back to the goal you actually set for the goal and try for the month or for the year, as the case may be, and draw out the the things you need to do in line with that goal. So this is a new week right now. Have you actually set the goals you want to achieve this week? So most times I advise younger people to have journals. You may also want to adopt that strategy. Have just a small journal, right, where you actually note down your to-do list. It may not be that it may not even be that you have actually planned the entire day. It may just be that this day you have said to yourself that these are three important projects I must achieve today. It may just be as simple as that, and gradually you graduate to almost planning almost all the hours. And so when you have those three goals defined, those three to-dos defined, right, you have written down there that, okay, so I want to be able to do this so time. This is what I want to do. Okay, I'm having a class by this. Okay, after this class, such that when distractors will always come. I'm always so very what word do I use? Concerned, especially when I see educators, because they're not having a period at that time. They just be on the lobby and they are just gisting. I mean, when there are a whole lot of other personal development effort to invest in, or they just feel, well, I'm not busy, I don't have a class now. The class is not the only part of your day. It's a major chunk of your day. You can even be preparing for the next class. Preparing for a class takes more time than the class itself. Check out the time classes that have been most impactful. You prepared more than the time of the class itself. Whether it was 40 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, you spend more time in preparing for it, right? And so that's how you dovetail your goals into your daily task, your weekly task, or your monthly task. Look at the main goals you have written across all these areas: career, academic, social, family. What do I need to do this week that will bring me closer to this goal this week? That's how to set a weekly routine or a monthly routine, as the case may be. The secret is in the routine, right? I'm going to just close on this. I think Mr. Leke mentioned this, and it's good we say it, because most times some people just feel, oh, because I've not achieved this goal within this time, I didn't do well. No, it's not just about the goal alone. It's not just about the goals you achieve alone. It's about who you become in the process. Guess now, go back to this. Um, Go back to this strategy we shared. This person said, oh, I want to be adjudged the best educator, and he described the experience, right? Now, even if this person was not adjudged the best educator, guess what would have happened? Would the person remain the same? Put in the chat box yes or no. Even if the person was not adjudged the best and the person has done all of this, would the person remain the same? Please let me know our feedback. Yes or no? Would the person remain the same? I like that. No. Someone said no. No. Even if it's not about even the goal alone itself, it's about who you become. You are not going to remain the same. Just like when you stretch something, you can't go back to, your mind can't go back to the same way it was whenever it's stretched, right? So I need to say this, that why it is actually called goals is because we still have to go, right? So with our body, all I shared earlier on happens in the soul, in your mind. You are doing the molding, and no, people are not even seeing you when you are doing all of those things. All they see is your physical. When they just see you, you have, this person has changed in the way he speaks. That's, you're seeing the physical. Oh, this person has changed in the way he talks to the students. What changed? Okay, what changed? Your principal is noticing some things. Something has changed. All that change happened in the molding realm. All people now see is the moving. They are seeing you, how you're now ditching out things, how you are now working. You now have a new association you have joined, something has changed in you, right? I was playing badminton the other day, and it dawned on me that the shuttle was coming to me. It was coming to my angle. Where two players on the court, but as it was coming close to me, I needed to focus on where the shuttle was coming so that I can hit it to my racket. That dawned on me that although we are taking actions, it's not just any kind of action. It's an action we call focused action. Focused action. Many people say, "Oh, I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy," but over time I've learned that it's not actually that they're busy. They they they're actually they're actually busy because perhaps they are doing many things that is not in line with their goals. When you are doing more focused action, you will not just be busy. Most times you will leap from being busy to being productive. A productive person is a person who has set out that this is the goal I want to achieve and has also achieved it. That's productivity. It's not just about activity. It may just be two things you have done that day, but you are productive because that's what you have set out to do. It's not about working yourself out and worried and tired. No. It's about being productive to the goals you have set out to achieve yourself. Right. I hope this helps really. What I'm going to do is I have a book that I know we share some more, and then you also see an example of this framework I shared. It's called the Goal Setting Quickie: How to Get Better Results and Set Higher Other Goals. So I'm going to give everybody on this call a free access just for 24 hours, right? So after this call, feel free once you to make it easier. Once you send me your feedback, you see the link to get the book, right? It's called the Goal Setting Quickie. So you'll be able to put in. Once you submit, you just see the link to get the book. So I just did that to make it easier so everybody can easily get the book, right? I want to say thank you so much for your attention. It's rare to see attention. I know in this world we are in today, there's a whole lot of distraction. Many things calling for attention. So most times when I see people who are able to pay attention, I mean, I find that that's an amazing thing, and I want to honor it. Right, so I want to say thank you so much. I just dropped the link in the chat. You can copy, you can screen grab this page. Once you're done sharing your feedback from this session, you see the link to get the book, right? Thank you so much, TREGS. Thank you so much, Mr. Adeleke, for this time and opportunity.
You have gained insights and strategies to live life purposefully. Now is the time to take actions in the direction of your learnings. For more products, bookings, and inquiries, please visit www.abrahamowoseni.com.